So I landed at what was called CommuniSpace and is now C-Space. I've been there since 2007, so a good chunk of my professional career there. I started as a community manager, so and I'll go more into what C-Space does, but they were really one of the founders of the MROC space, so the market research online community space, and since then have evolved and rebranded into C-Space now. I've also, along the way, gone to Riva, which I think your professor told you about, which is a market research institute. Naomi Henderson is really just, she's kind of taken what other people have taught in moderating and put it into a really great program to teach people how to run focus groups. So in a few months I'll have my stamp of approval, my master moderator certificate. I've been working on that for a few years. I won't go into every single one of these, obviously, but there's a lot of tools that we use in the online communities. A lot, the sort of basics are the discussion tool and the brainstorm and the survey tool. But we have people do journaling activities. We have people in store doing virtual shop-alongs as well. So we'll have them go through the aisle, take a picture of something, answer a few questions while they're actually in the store. All kinds of card sorting and prediction markets and heat mapping and other tools that we use as well, depending on the research need. All right, so I do a lot of virtual focus groups and IDIs. So this is one with the feminine care product there, and then this is one with teen girls. This little girl in the bottom she wouldn't stop talking about her guinea pig, and the guinea pig was pregnant. Yeah, the guinea pig. Well, so because she wouldn't stop talking about it, I said, all right, so why don't you go and get the guinea pig so we can see this thing? And all the girls got to ooh and ah at the guinea pig, and then I made her go put it away, so that then we were done with that conversation. So that's just a technique. If you're ever doing a video group or ever in an in-person group, like somebody wants to talk about something, you give them the airtime, and then you can just close it down as quickly. This other one is an event. This is a bunch of executives sitting in a room, and they wanted to meet their consumer. So we did an online focus group. So I'm talking to 7 people around the country, and as far as they're concerned, they're just talking to one another and me. I've told them that there's a team of people that may or may not be watching this as well, but these executives were also coming up with additional questions that they wanted me to ask. So they were IMing me while I'm doing this video focus group. So it's a really neat way to bring the consumer to life and to be able for the client to ask questions in real time. A lot of times we give them profiles of each person. So we'll say, you'll meet Dave, he's from Wisconsin and he has, 4 kids and he shops here or whatever. This was a car company, so it was like, this is the make and model of his car and this is what he has to say about what he wants to see from this car company in the future. So they had sort of like a dossier of each person that they were going to meet. And sometimes, in health things specifically, they can't know anything, any PII, so any personally, thank you. So they can't know their last name. They can't know where they are. They just know that they're maybe a group of patients that have had experience with this particular, diabetes device or something. So it depends, and yes, usually we give them at least some information to make the consumers even more real, because they are real. And when we do shop-alongs and ethnographies, we usually have a whole profile of who the person is and what their interests are and what some of their drivers and barriers are, potentially, that they might want to explore further. One of the really neat things about doing a virtual focus group is that people are in their homes. Obviously, they're not in a room with you. So if you say, all right, so tell me about these pads that you use. Can you go get me that? Can you go and show us? So they all ran to their bathrooms and got their things, and that they might not have brought into a facility. let's say, right? Or I can say, okay, so you told me that your fridge is stuffed and there's all this random stuff in it. Can I see your fridge? And they're there, and they bring their laptop and they show it. So it's a really neat way to get in deep quickly with people. Yeah. All right, so here's a bunch of different ways. I know this is a terrible slide for presentation, but a bunch of different reasons that we do video focus groups. The show and tell opportunity. So I want everyone to wear something that they bought during the holiday season, and they're all wearing something that they bought rather than that wouldn't happen in a facility so much. Discussing complex and sensitive issues like family care or bladder stuff or any kind of health issues. People are sometimes more comfortable doing that out of the comfort of their home. This is something on the right, the witness unfiltered in the moment reaction. Sometimes we send them, we say, all right, so you're going to receive a mailer, and I don't want you to open it until we start the interview. And so when they open it, and it's a mailer that a company is thinking about sending out, then we can see like, oh, well they did, this piece dropped out and they threw it away. I mean, that you can see it in the moment that they're actually opening it, which is really cool. Or that this piece looked upside down and they turned it around this way to see it. So that in the moment reaction is really cool. The easily downloadable and isolatable stuff is what I talked about before. And I'd love to get people to fight in focus groups. Yeah, not in a bad way, but okay, so if you're sensing that maybe there are some different opinions, you can say, all right, so now this is a debate. All right, so I'm going to put you on one side and you on the other, and then I want you to convince her, and I want you to convince him, but I want everyone to react to that. So it's, you may not feel that strongly, but you have to sort of like come up with your argument, which is a neat way to bring all of the potential drivers or barriers or something to life. And then the immediate follow-up and probes from the client. They love just kind of being able to just say something like, oh, I wonder if she saw this, and I can, my colleague will say, find out if she saw this spot, and then I can ask them that right in the moment. So I love that.
When you're doing a focus group, is it like easy to identify when groupthink is happening, or how do you identify if it's happening, and if it does happen, what do you do to squash it?
It's hard. Well, and it depends on. Sometimes groupthink is productive, right? Sometimes they're all feeding off each other and they're going with it, and then if that's happening and somebody else is quiet, I could play off the person who's quiet. Like, okay, so you and I are looking at all these people here, and they're all saying kind of the same thing. What do you think? Or maybe throw in some devil's advocate stuff. So you guys probably know some of this already about focus groups, but we think about it basically in four main stages. So you've got the introduction, and I'll give you a couple of examples, and there are some in your handouts for things you want to say in the introduction. Rapport and reconnaissance. So in a focus group, you want to spend a good 5-10 minutes making sure that you have a connection in the room so that people are willing to talk. And that includes an individual connection with each person and playing people off each other. I'll go through that a little bit. And then the sort of meat of it, the in-depth investigation, and then the closure and the thank you for their time, either monetarily or otherwise. So that's how we think of a focus group. Okay, so here's a sample introduction, and this is in your handout as well. All right, so I usually say hi and thanks for coming today. Appreciate your time. We're going to spend an hour or however long together. And so you want to introduce yourself and give some sort of context for why you're there. Sometimes it's I'm here as a researcher or from a consumer insights research firm, and sometimes it's I don't work for any specific retailer. I'm just here to learn what you think. So you want to kind of set yourself up as neutral, which you are for these purposes. So, you know, I travel all around and I talk to people about all kinds of things in all different industries, but today we're going to be talking about this package or this product or whatever it is. And then, so in an in-person focus group, these are a few things that you really want to kind of get out there so that people feel comfortable and so that they're willing to be open. All right, so you want to sort of define the room. You're sitting around the table, like, okay, you all have your name tags here, make sure I can see them. There's food over there. If you'd like to get up for any reason, feel free. I was taught once, don't say if you need to use the bathroom, because then people feel like, oh, do I need to or not? But if you want to get up for any reason, the bathroom's right down there. And then only one person up at a time. You always want to disclose that you're recording. It's just the right thing to do. But you can kind of play that off a little bit. Like, okay, so there are these mics somewhere in the ceiling, and they've got the audio recording, and there's a video camera over there. But that's just so that I don't have to take notes while I'm trying to listen to you. So this is for my purposes, so that when I write the report about all the great things that hopefully I'll hear today, I will have this recording to refer to. And then you want to say, you know, that there are people that may or may not be watching, and that's always the truth. Sometimes they're really engaged and watching you, and sometimes they're doing other things or they're bored out of their mind. So, so you want to acknowledge that there are other people watching, and then video as well. What I say in a video group is, I've got a whole list of questions here for you, but if you do see me typing, that's me responding to my colleague who's watching this as well, and she might have another question that she wants me to ask you. So I'm probably just saying like, okay, I got it. So that you kind of give yourself permission to look at the guide, to have somebody come in from the other room in a focus group facility with a note if they need to, or to type if you're doing an online group. Tell them to silence their cell phones, obviously. And the etiquette piece. So everyone in the group has been handpicked. You want to make them feel important. You want to make them feel like they're all experts in whatever it is. You know, you may be an expert in going to the market. You know, whatever it is, they're handpicked, and they're going to be your target for today. And then this is also, as I was talking about before, this is where you give yourself permission to be air traffic controller, or sometimes I say teacher, especially in video groups. So I get to pretend I'm a teacher today, which means that I get to make you raise your hand when you want to talk so that we don't all talk at once. And then even if you're not raising your hand, I may call on you anyway, just like a teacher, so that if, you know, if you're being really quiet, I can say, I haven't heard from you. And forget. Yeah, right. All right, so and then this is an open discussion, but just be respectful of other people's thoughts and opinions. At the end of that sort of introduction, I like to do an icebreaker that is off topic. So if I'm here to talk about, I don't know, a kind of meal or something, that I don't want to talk about food for the icebreaker. I want to talk about something else, so that it doesn't interfere with the research at all. So I'll go around the room, and what you want to do is not, so you've got everyone's name on their name tag, but you might mispronounce it, so you want to have them say their name first before you. So you say, all right, so now before we dive into the meat here, I want to just, let's get to know one another a little bit, and a couple of icebreakers are, you know, since it's Tuesday, the weekend was relatively recently, give me a highlight of your weekend. And then you go, you know, have them say their name, maybe who's in their household if it's relevant, and some highlight of their weekend. Then you want to go last, because you want to kind of calibrate. If everyone's talking about, you know, where they went out for the weekend, you don't want to say in the middle of it, like, well, I stayed home, I didn't do anything. So you want to talk about, you know, where you went out to, so you have a bond with each person. You do an emotional handshake with each person. So if somebody said, like, I went to see this band, you say, oh, you know, I haven't heard of them, or, you know, tell me more about that. So you want to do an emotional handshake with each person around the room, and give them enough of you so that they feel like they know and trust you, and you can do that really quickly. Or if you say there's a band that you went and saw and she's nodding, then oh, you know that band, you went and saw them too, so you can kind of force that connection right from the beginning, so that now the two of them feel like they have something in common as well. Oh yeah, one more thing about the icebreaker, or the intro or the warm-up, is that that's really the last time in the group that you're going to give anything of yourself as the moderator. So if I ask about pets, and you tell me about your cat, I can say, oh, I've got two at home, you know, and that's fine, we can make that connection. But later in the group, if we're talking about pet food, I'm not going to be like, oh my god, my cat hates that food. So that's really the, you know, you give enough so that we have this connection about our cat, and that everyone else knows that I'm a cat person, but not so much that that they know what my opinion about cat food are.
Is there? Yeah, I guess I did a little bit of like one-on-one interviews for with customers at my last co-op. One of the things I had a really hard time with was like setting the tone such that they were willing to say negative things about the product. You know, they didn't want to offend me or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you have any strategies for that?
Yep. So what I say sometimes is look, my job is to listen to you. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. I don't want you to hold back at all. I don't work for this particular company, so I don't get paid based on what you say. I get paid based on having some sort of insightful response from the people that I'm interviewing. So you're not going to make my day if you like something, and you're not going to, you know, make me cry if you don't either. So like I really have no investment in the content of what you have to say. It's more that you're willing to tell me stuff, and that's a lot of that is in the rapport building and in the just getting people to trust you enough so that they can tell you those things. And sometimes if somebody's, you know, gives me something really positive, that, you know, you can play devil's advocate. You're like, you really like it all that much? You know, is there? Or you can say, okay, so it sounds like you're going in this direction. Now, let's say, what is the skeptical side of you saying? Or what does, you know, let's say you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and picked up this product. What would you say then? So you kind of force them to play that other side. And that helps them sometimes a little bit. You know, it's hard to say, well, you know, be completely honest and tell me how much you hate this. You know, it's kind of like, okay, so twist it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like, or what, you know, like, tell me what your grandmother would think of this, or, you know, you can use different projective techniques to have them give you a different part of their personality. Okay, so here's some tips on how to ask thoughtful questions, do's and don'ts. Develop quick rapport, be neutral, and adjust your tone to the audience. So if I'm talking to you guys, I may talk about, or I may use a slightly more informal tone. If I'm talking to a bunch of 70-year-old women, I might not say, hey guys, how is it? You know, how's it going? I might say, hello everyone, thank you for being here. So just slight adjustments in tone depending on your audience are helpful. Be very clear. So if I say, I think everyone should probably like write down, I don't know, maybe a few ideas about what they think. They can't do that. You know, I want everyone to grab this pen that's right in front of you, and I want you to write 3 sentences on what first comes to mind when you see this thing. So you have to be super clear with directions, otherwise people don't get it. So you want to vary the open-ended types. So this is called varying your stems. So you don't want to say, tell me more, what do you think about this? You want to, so I'll get to this later about, you don't want to ask why, but practice some different ways. Next slide. You want to invite them to pour out their hearts and minds. You don't want to make assumptions about what you're going to hear. So for anyone who watches Project Runway, Tim Gunn is really good at this. Like, I don't want to assume anything, although he's sometimes leading. But he never goes in with already knowing what the person's design or whatever was supposed to be. You don't want to rely on why. You don't want to lead respondents in a direction. So obviously you have an agenda, you have a guide, but you're not going to lead them to any particular response. double barrel question, so, you know, what restaurant do you want to go to, and, you know, and why do you like that one, or, I don't know if there are better examples of double barrel questions, but they're not helpful. A lot of things that don't seem like yes or no questions are kind of disguised yes or no questions. So, did you think that you were gonna buy this much when you came into the store today? That's a yes or no question, rather than like, so how did this compare to your expectation of what you thought you were gonna purchase when you came in? That's a more open-ended way to ask pretty much the same question. Don't want to give your point of view. You don't want to make too many statements or analyze while you're going. And this is something that I got busted for a lot is like holding my pen and going like this and like distracting with my hands. So you want to be as open and receptive as you can, and not over your gestures unless you're talking with your hands or anyway. Body language and fill in the blank technique is really great. So rather than saying like, okay, so what did you think when you walked into the store? You say like, okay, so you walk into the store and then the person is kind of willing to finish the sentence for you rather than like answer a question. It doesn't always work, but it works sometimes. So there are, these are called rejoinders. Sort of, okay, I heard what you have to say, and I accept it, and then next. So rather than saying like, great, or that's a really neat idea, which are judgment things, you can say, or what they call a personal grunt, which is, or something that means I hear you, I get what you're saying, and say more. And nodding and smiling works for that as well. So people tend to overuse okay, which there are differing schools of thought on whether okay is okay. But when they overuse okay, people tend to look for the okay check mark. So if you say something, you say something, you say something, and I say okay, then you say something, and I'm like, then is yours not as good as them? So people are sort of like looking for those judgment words, and you don't want them to be playing to your approval of what they're saying. Elaborating responses, positive, negative. All right, so you don't want to agree or confirm or affirm. You also don't want to correct misinformation. So this happens a lot, and people say, well, I have this device and I put the thing in here and then I twist this part and then I do this, and like that's not how it works. You have to twist this and then do this, but you don't want to correct them while they're in the process of it. Yeah. All right. So rules for being present. You want to be interested and curious. You want to make eye contact. You want to have what they call unconditional positive regard, which is I want to hear everything you have to say. I'm not going to give you a judgment on it, but I'm going to I accept it. And you want to be attentive. You want to respect and not judge. You want to try new things. Mix it up. If it's just not working, have everyone take a minute and write something down. Or if you need to go check with your back room, sometimes I do this. If they're going in a direction that I hadn't anticipated at all, and I don't really get it, I say, okay, so I want everyone to take out a note card and write down 3 things that come to mind when I say whatever. And that's just kind of a stalling technique so that I can go and check the back room to see if there's something else. Subtle language changes to yield better responses. If you say I'm looking for open and honest responses, you're kind of assuming that they aren't going to be honest. So instead you can say, I'm here to listen and learn from you. Whatever you have to say is fine. And instead of saying there are no right or wrong answers, there are only right answers here. We can't fail this. I used to say this all the time, like, I promise this won't be too painful, I won't waste your time. That's a negative predictor. So instead, like, I'm going to use our time wisely. We have this hour together, let's be productive. What was your initial reaction? It's better to say, what did you say to yourself? Because initial reaction kind of invites a more rational response, whereas if you think of, what was the first thing that came to mind yourself, that's a little easier. Can you tell me is a yes or no question. So you have to first say like, yes, I'll tell you, and this is what I'll tell you. Instead, walk me through your thought process here, or what have you seen or read or heard about this? Great, awesome, okay, are all positive. So instead, like, yeah, I gotcha, keep going. And why, we'll get to this in a second. All right, so why not? So one of the big business questions that always comes up is why do they want to do this, or why don't they want to do this, or why do they like this, or why? Asking why is a really tough question because it puts people on the spot and it can feel attacking. Like, like, what's your favorite? I'll get to the ice cream example in a second, but like, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh gosh. Changes daily. Cookies and cream, I guess.
Why cookies and cream? So that's why is a dumb question. Like, instead I'd be like, cookies and cream, all right. Tell me about cookies and cream. What is that? Yeah, we'll get to that example in a second. But see how why can be kind of attacking when it wasn't meant to be. I just want to know why that's her favorite flavor. It can be whiny. It doesn't feel personal. So try and cut why out of your guides and out of your probing. It's hard to do. Here are some alternatives. Tell me more about that. Imagine that this is like this instead. Tell me that. Tell me a story. What did you say to yourself? What drove you to do this rather than why did you do this? Help me understand. I overuse that one sometimes. Or in what way? Or how did this feel? What stands out? All right. So that's enough. Why not why? Here are a few probing techniques, and then we'll get to some examples. Fill in the blank, as I said. Okay, this one can be kind of awkward, but it works. Okay, so I am looking for reasons that people shop at a particular store. I've got 5 fingers here. Give me 5 reasons. So people can think of 2 reasons, maybe 3. Forcing them to go those extra 2 fingers, or if they're on a roll, 10 fingers, makes them come up with more reasons that might not be just right below the surface. Okay, so the I hear you, tell me more, hand gesture, echo, and the silent head nod. Yeah, keep going. Not the like, yeah, great idea, but keep coming, yeah. All right, here are, I put these in your handout as well, a bunch of books that have really helped along the way. This first one, The Secrets of the Master Moderator, is by Naomi Henderson. She's the founder of Reba, where I've gotten some of my moderator training, and she's terrific. So that book is great. And these other books give some good tips and tricks as well.
Any final questions? Great.
So here is the business question. It's about ice cream. Do people like the new flavor that we're testing? Why or why not? And then here are the questions that are written. How do you feel about this particular flavor? So you've got a sort of faux scale there. And then why do you feel that way? So let's change that line of questioning into something that will yield a little bit better responses. So come up with 2 or 3 questions that will get to that business question that won't be as dry as this.